Welcome to Data Project Hub. We will solve a SQL interview question in this video. First, let us go through the question, then we will see the table schema and the expected output. First, let us go through the question. So, a group of students participated in a course which has 4 subjects. In order to complete the course, student must fulfill the below criteria. So, the two criteria are student should score at least 40 mark in each subject. The second criteria is student must secure at least 50% mark overall. So assuming total should be 100. So the maximum achievable mark for a given subject will be 100. Now we have to write a query to print the result for each student. Now create a new result column with pass or fail status based on the mark obtained. This is our question. Now let us go through the exam score table and then we will see the expected output table and then let us start writing query for the same. Now execute this and this is the exam score table that I have already created which has 3 columns. The first column is student ID, second column is subject ID and the third column is mark. Now we have to create a result where we have the student ID as an individual column and for each subject we should have separate columns and we should have another derived column which is called the total mark and we have a result column which should be printed either pass or fail based on the subject mark and the total mark obtained. So this is the question. For example, let us take the example of student ID 101. We can see that all the subject, the student ID 101 is having a mark which is greater than or equal to 40. So the first condition is satisfied. Now the total mark should be greater than or equal to 50 percentage mark. So here, since they have 4 subject, so the total mark will be 400. In the question, it's given that maximum achievable mark for a given subject is 100. Hence, 4 into 100, which will give us 400. So 50% mark is basically 200. So the total mark for the first student is 256. So both the conditions are satisfied. Hence the student has passed that particular course. Now coming to the record 103, we can see that coming to subject 2, the mark is less than 40. So the condition is not satisfied. Hence the student has failed for that particular course. Now let us go back to SSMS. Now we will start with a select clause. Select. We will write the column names which are required. The first column is student ID column, and the second column which we require is the subject ID column, and the third column which we require is the marks column. Now this is taken from the table exam underscore score. From exam underscore score. This is the table that we are going to use. Now we will consider this query as a base query and we are going to make use of the pivot function here in order to pivot the result so that we have separate individual column for each subject. So we will place this first query inside a parenthesis and we'll give the name as base underscore table. So this is considered as a base table. Now we will write the pivot function. Pivot, open and close parenthesis, and inside parenthesis we have to specify the aggregate function. So here I will use the sum as the aggregate function and inside parenthesis I will specify marks. And now we will write the for and we will specify the column which we are going to pivot. So here we are going to pivot the subject ID column. So here subject ID in open and close parenthesis. Now inside the parenthesis specify the value within the subject ID column. Now from here we can see that the different subject ID for a particular student is that 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are the 4 subject ID available for each students. So we'll specify that subject ID here and it should be specified within a square bracket. Now the third subject ID and finally we have the fourth subject ID. So these are the 4 values within the subject ID column. Now we have to give an alias name for the pivot function as well. So this is pivot underscore table. Now we will write a select star from the query which we wrote. So we have a select star from open and close parenthesis and this is considered as the base query or the base table. Now on that base table we are writing the pivot function. So open and close parenthesis and inside parenthesis for pivot function we specify the aggregate function and then using for we will make use of the column which we are going to pivot and we will specify the values within the subject ID column. Execute this and we should get a result where we have subject ID column and different columns for each subject and the value will be the mark. So we have a result where we have 1 corresponds to subject 1, then 2 subject 2, subject 3 and subject 4. Now, instead of writing star, we will rename the columns as subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, and subject 4. So, the first column is student ID, student ID. Second column is subject 1, and it will be named as subject 1. Similarly, we have other three subjects as well. So, the second subject, third subject, and fourth subject. Here, just replace the subject number with the right subject. So, here it will be subject 2. Now, for the third one, it will be third subject, and the column name will be subject 3. And finally, we have the fourth subject, and the column name will be subject 4. So, these are the four columns which are required. Now, from the initial expected result, we saw that we require additional two columns. Those two columns were total mark, and there is a result column. In the same query, we may write the expression for the total mark column as well. So for that, we will make use of the columns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we will do an arithmetic sum of column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4, so that we have a new column which is created, which is basically the total mark. So first column plus the second subject plus the third subject, which is 3, and finally we have the fourth subject, which is 4. And this column will be named as total underscore marks. So this is the total marks column. Now we have to also make sure that we should remove this null value when we are making such expressions or such calculation. So for that, we will make use of the function isNull. So isNull, open and close parenthesis, and the first argument will be the column, and second argument will be the value, which should replace the null value. So the value is 0. So similarly, we should do that for all the columns. For second subject also, we will do that. For third subject also, we will do that. And finally, for the fourth subject also, we will do the same thing using isNull function. We may also use Colli's function. That is okay. Only thing is that we should make sure that we deal with this null value before doing some aggregation or making some calculation. Now execute this and we will get the result. So we have student ID column, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, and we have a total marks column. Now based on the individual subject mark and the total mark the student has obtained, we have to create another column, another derived column, which is called the result column, and we have to print whether the student has passed or failed based on the two conditions which is given in the question. So these are the two conditions that we have to now include in the second part of the query. So we will place the complete query inside a CTE. So CTES, open and close parenthesis, place the complete query inside a CTE, and I will write a select star from CTE. So here we are going to make use of case statement, and we are going to include both the conditions within the case statement and get the new column, which is the result column. So case when we have to specify both the conditions. So the first condition will be all the subject mark should be greater than or equal to 40. So subject 1 greater than or equal to 40, and similarly for all the other columns which are subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, we have to copy the same condition. So we'll copy this, copy, we'll do the same thing 3 times. Yeah, so we have the condition which is created, and just replace the numbers with the right subject number, subject 3, subject 2. So this is the first condition. Place this entire condition inside another parenthesis, so it is easy to differentiate the two conditions. And now we have the second condition, which is the student must secure at least 50% mark overall. So that is the second condition. So total mark, that is, we have a column called as total underscore marks divided by 400. So 400 is the maximum achievable mark that the student can achieve combining all the four subject. So should be greater than or equal to 0.5. Also, we should make sure that multiply the numerator with a 1.0, so that the numerator or the final value will be considered as a float. Now we have the second condition also included, and then the value should be pass, and else the condition is fail. End the case statement as result column. So this is the result column which is created. Now execute this and we should get a new column as well, where we have the result as passed or fail depending upon the two condition which is initially specified. So we have finally obtained the result which we saw as the expected output. Now we have separate columns for each subject along with a total mark column plus a result column, based on which we can easily identify whether a student has completed the course or not, depending upon the two conditions specified. This is one method of solving the question. You can try your own method. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more. Thank you.